Okay, we're recording. Alright, so this is Geeks and Ghosts episode number 6, right?
Yes.
I'm telling you, dude, when we hit double digits, we're totally going to lose count. I'm surprised we haven't already. I can't hear you, Lou.
I know.
Okay.
I was yelling at somebody.
Oh.
It's called
Keep your mic on, damn it.
That one.
So, let's see. Tonight, whatever, we actually have the first guest both Lou and I will be able to talk to and interview at the same time. Because we had a previous guest, Tracy, and Lou wasn't around for that because I couldn't figure out how to get the audio to work. So far this is working. So hopefully it'll go through. But tonight we have Mitch Silverstein with us.
Hey there.
Of Nyack Paranormal, and a hell of a nice guy all around.
Thank you. You guys rock. Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
I hope so.
Yeah. Maybe we're going to ruin your career after this.
That's all right. career in what?
Yeah. So I guess, you know what, before we start chit-chatting, because we usually chit-chat in the beginning of the show, Mitch,
Yes.
why don't you tell us about yourself, give us your background, what you do, and, why the hell do we have you on here?
Okay, that sounds like I'll probably put half the people that are listening to sleep, but I have approached the paranormal several years ago with my son, actually, and we saw trouble when we were watching it on TV. We attended an event, and we were very curious, and we thought to ourselves, being scientifically minded in our family, that there were probably better ways to do this. And so we setting up our little Nyack Paranormal to sort of challenge the current theories. The background that I brought to it, and even my son, who's now at University of Rochester as a physics major, so science runs in the family. I've been in the sciences for 33 years, I think. 1981, I started working in a laboratory, biology lab, doing human genetics, and I spent 13 years doing genetics. I have a psychology and biology degree. So after about 13 years, and I got into the lab operations. I'm still on the operations side. I'm senior director of facilities for a small pharmaceutical research company, which gives me the responsibilities of being responsible for all the physical plant. I'm on all the committees, scientific committees. I help create some of the testing apparatus that we use in the laboratories. I help set up and design some of the experiments, review all the protocols, write some of the protocols. I'm the safety director. So lab safety is a big pain in the butt, but somebody's got to do it. And
Lou doesn't know what safety is.
Oh,
No.
That's so.
I have 3 kids.
He's Mexican.
Yeah. So, when I approach this stuff and talk about science, I feel I have a professional career that I can apply towards it. Science is fun. I mean, I enjoy it, and I think there's a place for it, especially in the paranormal stuff, but it's such a small percentage of what anybody else does out there.
I agree.
And I've tried when I first, when we first started working in the community, with little invisible quotes there. In the community, we that's scary.
This is what I deal with all the time.
Yeah.
Remember, they can't see what we're doing now.
That's right. It's what I'm talking about. So when we started doing it, it was fun. We were sort of making a difference. A lot of people were listening, and things for some reason went downhill really fast in this community. Turned into a circus really fast in the last few years. So once my son went to college and Stephanie started helping with Nyack Paranormal, we did those experiments, which Kenny was part of, and
Yay.
After that, it's sort of, the wind sort of left the sails because it was falling on deaf ears. People didn't really care
Right.
about the science, except for our small group, which we've always stayed in contact with. But I'm trying to, with the winter coming and getting through some other projects that we were working on, I have way too many hobbies. We're hopefully going to get back to it because we have a pocket full of experiments and things that we want to try.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you think the reason that the paranormal's gone downhill as quickly as they went, as you mentioned, is because people are impatient? They want the results right there, right now, instead of having to set up 5,000 doohickeys and make it go?
That's certainly part of it. I mean, we were just chatting briefly before, Kenny and I were, and we said that, doing science is too much work. People would rather have blind faith.
Right.
That way all the work is done already. They just head into it needing those results and accepting those results. And more people were joining the community. So the percentage of people with the blind faith just grew and grew and grew.
Right.
The people with the better approaches had a smaller and smaller voice.
And you guys were squeezed out of the whole community completely altogether.
It's just like no room for it because it's too crowded with the believers that.
Well, when you have Professor Roundtree running around.
Well, I mean, that's part of what I want to talk about tonight. I mean, and that's what we're talking, because the last show we did, we came down hard on that show, that TV show. We came down really hard, and I'm not apologizing for it because I really thought it was an awful show. And there was at least a few people that were upset with what we did.
Yeah, more than a few people.
But oh well. What do you got there? Ooh, Bud beer, nice. But it was pointed out. Some things were pointed out about. We were jealous because we're not on TV and shit like that, which is absurd because we could care less about being on TV. We have fun doing what we're doing with this, and we're having fun, and we get to talk to people like Mitch about topics that deal with the sciences. And one of the things that came up, I mean, we talked about the wormhole detector thing, okay? And for me, I know I already see Lou laughing, but I don't want this turning into like a bashing session or a witch hunt. I want to talk about this device. I want to talk about the science behind it and what the claims that were made, so that we can actually go after the specific claims. Not like go after, but analyze them and are they valid? That's what
I'll go after them.
What?
I'll go after them. That's my job.
Well, yeah, I figured you would.
Well, actually, I spent a little bit of time. I didn't have a lot of time, but I spent a little bit of time, and I watched a couple of his videos. And not here to personally bash anybody, although the stuff that he spews, I consider it's more like a medicine show type of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to comment on it unless I actually watched it and listened to it and tried to understand what he was doing.
Good.
I can tell you all about it. First thing I can say, and again, I'm not here to give accolades or anything, but I appreciate his efforts to try to do something different. He has accomplished stuff, and he's a writer. He's written books and things like that. He's not a slouch. However,
Lou, stop playing with stuff.
Shut up, bitch.
Sorry, go ahead, Mitch.
That's all right. I do have a lot of problems with the actual gizmo that he set up, and we can discuss. I think it's pretty obvious what it actually does. Holy smokes! I need stuff too.
I'm sorry. We're still doing, even though we're not doing video, we're still taking little toys, and while other people are talking, we're throwing it up at the camera, and it's really distracting and throwing everyone off.
He beats us with that bird.
So, all right. So yeah, let's talk about the device.
Okay.
it's supposed now. It's I guess promoted as a wormhole detector. What do you got to say about that?
Right away, that's there's a problem with that.
Okay, explain.
Wormholes.
He can't win the Nobel Prize on this?
I'm sorry, what was that?
He can't win the Nobel Prize on this?
I guess he could if he really detected wormholes. However, since wormholes is still totally theoretical and there's no proof, the multi-billion-dollar physics laboratories out there and particle accelerators and telescopes and all this billions of dollars invested cannot prove the theory of a wormhole, even micro wormholes, which is another theory, which is, I think, what he's going after. It cannot be proved. There is no proof. It's all theoretical. It's all mathematics right now. And there are some people even question the mathematics. Many physicists, that's not easy to say, physicists out there are some that don't believe that wormholes can exist. You know, they challenge the theory of relativity and all that stuff that Einstein came up with, and says that, you know, the math is wrong, people are figuring it out wrong, they can't exist anyway. So
I hate to interrupt. One of the things I read that I wanted to get back to, because I ran into the same problem. I started watching videos and looking up and researching different terms on wormholes and the electromagnetic spectrum and all that stuff. And one of the things I read was that the idea of wormholes may have been the math. How did they put it? Might have been like leftover calculations. That it doesn't actually say that wormholes exist. They were just leftover calculations that could be this, but it really is not really relevant to the rest of it.
Right. From what I understand, is a lot of times when they do all these calculations, and I've even seen, like Kevin, my son, is not in astrophysics, but I did visit him one time at school, and on a whiteboard in his dorm room, it was filled with calculations, all those funny symbols and stuff, just like you see them on TV, you know, to show. The Big Bang Theory or something. And I looked at it, I said, this is really, oh, well, it's calculating the magnetic field around the cylinder. So I said, okay, well, that's fairly complicated. But when you get even more complicated and they do this mathematics, they get a lot of results, but they get leftover stuff.
Okay.
And that leftover stuff that doesn't quite fit, they then try to form theories around it.
So that's unproven stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even prove it. That actually, it's just still theoretical. Matter of fact, it's more theoretical because they're not even sure how they arrived at it.
Okay.
Right?
So for you, Kenny, like when you're making your puzzles and you put them together and that one part doesn't fit, so you grab another puzzle piece from some other part and try to shove it in there, it doesn't work, right? Right? Kind of, sort of?
You know, that's a pretty good analogy, actually.
So I guess
there you go.
For you, Lou, when you go out and jack some cars for parts and you strip it down and you have some left over that your dealers won't buy, that's kind of like the leftover calculations. It's just junk that's there and you're trying to justify it now.
Nice way to bring out that racist card again. I hate you.
You end up with 2 steering wheels. What do you do? Right?
Right, exactly. I'll give you one. So is it safe to say that you're on one of those, I guess everybody's involved in the toys. So you also would be involved on a peer review board? If there's something like that, am I correct?
So, if there were, if it was easy, especially with paranormal, I wish there was a peer review board, but that's never going to happen. But physics, especially with the mathematical calculations, is a great. There's actually a great movie. I forgot what it's called, about the discovery of the search to discover the Higgs boson particle.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What is that?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That one, yeah, that's the one. You got it. See, I couldn't.
I'm awesome.
But this movie, and I should look it up because it was actually a pretty fascinating documentary. But it shows how many different entities around the world are working on these same calculations. They throw them out there. They offer it for peer review. There are people, oh, wow, you did these calculations, I'm going to try it, oh, I came up with something different, and they share. Even though there's a little bit of competitive edge to it, they share and they review each other's work. I mean, that's very important, right down to every detail. I mean, even when I did my audio experiments at the Shanley, which we only did twice, with the quadraphonic recording, I wrote up the equivalent of close to a scientific paper. I didn't quite go, I think I have a real detailed version somewhere, but I posted online somewhat of a scientific paper, so if somebody wanted to, they can duplicate it exactly.
Cool.
Okay.
I think that's very important. Getting back to the wormhole detector, I don't think there's enough information out there to duplicate it. I mean, you can buy all the equipment and create his little sensors and stuff like that, but he leaves out a lot of what his digital signal processor is set at and how he calibrates anything, or even if he calibrates anything.
I did see that in one of the videos that I watched. He went into an explanation of it, and let's see, it's in my notes here. One of the things that came up was that he quotes and saying one of the compressors removes some of the dynamics, and this is for the microphones. The compressor removes some of the dynamics, so they're a little bit better for picking up EVPs. And that made me stop and question, like, what does it remove? We don't know what it's removing from the audio recordings, and also what is the established standards for a EVP. He's claiming that the way I guess it filters out, that what he's left with are better for EVPs, and I don't understand what makes it better.
Right, that's what he's claiming, that he shows that this equipment has a lot of levels of filtration.
Yes.
And we know for a fact that whenever we want to examine anything, usually the more raw it is, the better it is as data.
Right.
If he's running all these filters through everything, how do we know that it's better? I mean, there's nothing been established. He has no details on that.
Right. What are we leaving behind?
Well,
right.
with me, I got mine right here. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets the wings. So this proves it. It says so. Look, it says so right there. Every time you ring a bell, a faithful angel gets its wings. See, look at all the wings. Oh, hell, here comes the skeleton.
Oh, and there we go.
Yeah. Well, the same thing with his with the coils he made. All right, so let's talk about the apparatus a little bit. Okay.
Yes, please.
Again, the effort he's put into it. Let me make a general statement first for a second. Just like some of the stuff that I've made or challenged or done, I am a firm believer, especially when it's in paranormal, when it comes to the paranormal, because there's no rules, there's no standards, there's no science, that anything goes. Try anything. You want to bring that silly K2 meter with you? That's fine, but understand how it works and what's happening.
Right.
I wanted to come up with a new term. I know critical thinking is necessary.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people out there with the blind faith that thinking is not part of the process. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to come up in the paranormal with a new term called critical review, which is actually applying the critical thinking without letting them know it to whatever data they collected, whatever their results are.
Okay. All
right, to really rip apart your results. Don't accept it. Rip it apart. And if you're left with something interesting, that's a different story. So I think that even his approach doesn't do that. I mean, he goes in with the assumptions that these things exist and that his equipment detects it. And then when he gathers his data, he's already answered. He already has his answers before he even looks at his data. That this is what he's detecting. So it's no critical thinking, no critical review. And I think that's very important for anybody, is to establish that review process. So the first things that struck me was that he was detecting and proving that things happened within the room. But he has his sensors, especially the EMF sensors, which he built himself out of $2 coils from the telephone taps. Those little microphones you can plug on the outside of the telephone?
Yeah.
He used the coils inside of that. He shielded it in a PVC cup, and he put a plug on the end, and he puts it through a signal processor, which is great. I mean, you can make an EMF detector basically with a signal processor like he did, and a coil. And a magnetic field passes around the coil, and you're going to get some voltage change. And that's, I mean, I don't know how he processes it. I don't know if he's actually detecting it properly and getting the right frequencies or whatever, and he's just showing us the way he said it. But they all point inside the room. They're all pointing towards each other in a small room. So if he's going to get anything, obviously it's in the room.
Okay.
So, again, right there, he's already going under a, what's a good word for that? Pre-assumption? Is that a word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the same thing with the microphones. He's got directional microphones pointing into the room, in a small room. Even when I did my experiment, I left the microphones omnidirectional. I could locate sounds outside my grid.
Right.
Right? So I can't go in assuming I'm going to catch something in the room. If we hear something, I am going to locate it wherever those microphones tell me they are. If I pointed all my microphones into the center of the room and I pick something up, obviously I'm predetermining that it's going to be in the room. So he's doing that with his apparatus too. He has it all pointed in. I would challenge him and say he should take those shields off. He should put his coils sitting out there, pointing to the sky, and try to take readings from everywhere. I mean, it's just EMF readings, and EMF fluctuates everywhere. I mean, there's no unnatural cause for it, really, other than, you know, the man-made stuff that might produce it. And
when I was watching the videos, there was at least 2 videos that he mentions the readings that he was picking up and how strong they were. And he was talking about they were as small as 2 hertz and up to like 17, 18 hertz. And from what I saw on scales, then that's usually just power lines and appliances like that level. So, I mean, to me, I'm assuming that whatever fluctuations are coming from the power lines in the house or in the building, or the devices that are on, that are in the room, that are being used. And a question came up. In fact, my wife was questioning this earlier today. Did you happen to watch that show that we were talking about, the Ghost Stalkers?
yes.
Okay, so the guy that we nicknamed Screaming Nancy, he was sitting on the couch in the room, and I'm assuming, because I only saw one set of microphones and EMF in the corner, one of his sensor arrays, and I'm assuming that there were 3 others in the other 3 corners, so he could get this grid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going back and looking back at the laptop, and he's getting the waveforms coming up, and he states that anytime 2 of these waveforms touch is when there's a wormhole opening. So, I guess what I'm asking is that when Screaming Nancy is sitting on the couch, playing with his, like, the recorder that he has, whatever else, I think he had a 2-way radio in his hand. I'm not sure. Whatever stuff that he's playing with, would he be affecting the 2 coils that are nearest him while manipulating those things?
Well, most likely, yes. There's you know, anything that has electricity is basically going to emit some sort of field.
Right.
And we know for a fact that RF signals affect EMF detectors like crazy.
Right.
Again, you might be able to tell if you're judging from frequencies. The RF frequencies are generally higher, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we don't know how he calibrated to set up that signal processor. We don't know if he's accurately reading the proper frequencies. I mean, like, supposedly if you're going to read a frequency off of an outlet in the wall, for a lamp, you're going to get 60 hertz because that's what the frequency of electric in the United States is. However, you run an appliance with a motor, the motor runs and gives off a different frequency. So part of the argument would be, well, there's no motors running by. You know, Sal, because he did it at the Shanley also, and he has a video online. Sal wasn't necessarily running his blender close enough to pick that up. Mm-hmm. But you do get stray, you know, we know from holding EMF meters, you pick up stray signals somehow. It will sit there nothing will happen. It will spike. It'll move.
Right.
But especially if you can have a recorder, or radios,
right.
Even at the Shanley. I mean, he set up a room 13 on the 3rd floor. There's a bathroom right below it. Somebody turns on the light. It's literally 3 feet away from the sensors.
Right.
So anything, a lot of things will affect it.
Well, it's like, since all this is unproven, you know how we said when the two lines touch, it means a portal's opening, right? But since this is all woo-woo, what if it's actually the opposite? When the two lines touch, it's actually closing.
There you go.
You don't know anything about it.
You don't know.
That's a possibility, because we have no idea.
So if it's one or the other, it's completely based on whatever he wants it to be.
Right. And what if you had a larger monitor and those waveforms were further apart? Maybe they would never touch. Maybe it's the size of the monitor that's actually making it touch, and nothing else.
I mean, there are separate signals coming in,
Mm-hmm.
so it's 4 separate graphs that are showing what's going on. It doesn't actually. I mean, from what I saw, and it wasn't explained at all on the TV show, and this isn't explained in any of the videos, but yeah, those graphs are separate graphs.
Mm-hmm.
You could actually put them next to each other instead of on top of each other.
Right.
And they're just reading the input coming in. So it doesn't actually, when they touch, it doesn't mean that the signals are actually crossing each other.
Actually, I would think that if you're going to have 4 sensors like that, and a wormhole is going to be forming, maybe you want all the graphs to cross. Maybe you want such EMF to throw it all off the scale. Not just 2 of the sensors having graph, overlapping, because that means it's just a little EMF at one side of the room. It's not telling us anything. And he did mention, though, that he can localize it in the room, sort of like what I did with the audio. But he judges the peaks.
That's something I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
Or before you go on, or maybe what his machine is detecting is a ghost eating a taco. Every time he bites on a taco.
I would prefer ghost eating an enchilada. I like enchiladas better than tacos. So maybe both. Maybe both.
I'm with Mitch on that one. I got a recipe
for you, Mitch, that you're going to love.
Wonderful.
Yeah, much better. I don't
know. Now he has the capabilities. Like his results are qualitative. They're not. He's not using numbers for his results. Basically, when I did my audio, which remember I had mentioned online that my quad experiment came before his quad, and after we had that incident, he may have.
I noticed that because you said that.
Yeah.
And our experiment, your experiment that I helped with, was in 2010.
Yes.
And in the video I was watching that explained his device was posted in 2012.
Yes.
And he states in the beginning of the video that this is from 2 years of research. And I just had to laugh. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, like I said, his wormhole detector was not quadraphonic until our Facebook incident, where when we asked him for data and he called me butt munch.
I was there.
Yeah,
I was there.
Then he looked me up. I told him to look at my stuff, and I think he found credibility. And he did backpedal a little bit. He calmed down. He messaged me. It wasn't quite an apology or anything, but it was trying to relieve the pressure a little bit.
He messaged me too by saying, "I'm going to sue you if you continue calling me a fake."
Oh well.
Everybody does that to you, Lou.
But it was a few months after that, after he looked me up, that his wormhole detector all of a sudden became a 4-sensor array. Just once he found out that we did the quadraphonic. So, he'll deny it, whatever, but, I'm flattered that somebody found, something interesting in the work we were doing.
Good.
Whether he admits it or not. That's interesting. But again, we quantified our results. We took we froze our recording, right? Mm-hmm. Measured peaks. We punched it into our software, and we came up with a graph of where we thought the sound was located in the room.
Yeah.
Now, he needs to do that, too. I mean, not that he's detecting wormholes, but maybe he can tell us that there's EMF, pockets of EMF in a room, and we don't know that. maybe his apparatus can tell us that. I don't know if we learn anything from that, but he can probably record his graph, go to his data logger, pick a point at which his things cross, do all 4 sensors,
right.
Make some software, graph it, and actually locate in a room. Don't say that I interpret the peaks and determine where it is in the room.
Right.
That's useless.
I had a problem because during the video I'm watching this and he's explaining that exactly what you said, that he had to watch the readings as they came in and then visualize where in the room it was taking place.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm looking at the readings that are on the side of the screen, and there was a bunch. There was, probably for each, I guess, input coming in, he had like 6 readings.
Right.
For each one of them. So that's 24 readings that he's trying to look at. And I tried to look at it, and they're changing every second. So, that would be phenomenal, I guess, to be able to look at all of those readings and then calculate within the second of where it is. Because, they're constantly changing. From second to second, you're getting different readings. So I don't understand how he's actually doing that. That, to me, that doesn't... That's not valid.
Right.
Because it's more like guesswork.
Yeah, it's all interpretation.
Okay.
Definitely, it's all interpretation. We try to take the interpretation out. Again, science is all controls. It's not interpretation. You can interpret in your discussion when you're doing a paper, but you're trying to come up with solid, reproducible results. 2 people watching his graphs are going to come up with 2 different things. So he's really got to quantify that. I wish he would take it a step further. I wish he wouldn't claim that it's wormhole detection, because we know it's not. He's halfway there, and then it just falls apart totally. So I wish he would, step back and instead of, reading a physics book, actually consult scientists and maybe apply some real science to the stuff that he does and see if there is any useful data that comes out of this thing. Mm-hmm. But again, certainly not a wormhole detector.
Bro, he's working on warp speed right now. Because apparently, the one time that you and I had him on Facebook, he was talking about his orbs. Well, yeah. And that's when he even mentioned that comment, and he said that he created some kind of device that will capture orbs, and that he had caught a couple. And you asked him then, well, what was the data? What did you get back out of it? And all he kept doing was he kept telling us, go to my book.
Yeah.
Go to my book. And when he didn't like what we were asking him the questions, he then he called you a name, he called me a name, he sued me later. And then then he went to his Facebook and said that we had attacked him. And I told him, we weren't attacking you, we were just asking you questions.
Right.
And he's a tough nut. But I applaud that he's trying to go in different directions. Everybody keeps saying do something different.
Right.
He's trying, but I just don't think he wants to ask anybody else if he's doing it correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's collecting his fans. He's really there to try to be a celebrity. He does have a following because a lot of people don't understand this, and they have blind faith in him that he's doing it all right because he uses equipment and has big words. That's part of the problem with the community also, that they don't understand the scientific process for real. It's a shame, and we can't expect everybody to, but we really need them to have more of an open mind and maybe look. Stop and question and don't accept everything, obviously.
And learn your terminology.
Shut up.
You shut up.
Damn it.
I didn't say Mexican. I said terminology.
No.
But that's something I find most of the community screws up. They screw up their terminology. And then when you have somebody that comes in that has a background in engineering, so they have a lot of technical knowledge,
right.
and they start using a lot of technical words to describe simple things, And that's something that I did notice. There's a lot of technical language that describes very simple and basic stuff. So it sounds very scientific. It sounds sciencey. So it comes off as an authority figure, someone who knows what they're doing. And granted, some of the stuff he does, he does know the electrical engineering stuff. He knows that stuff. But as far as all this other stuff that he's claiming, the science just isn't there.
Right.
And I think there's a lot taken on faith, or the need to believe it. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I forgot where I was going.
Yeah, well, there was in the Shanley Hotel video that he put online. He had his quadrilator on there too, like I said, Room 13. He also was running a gamma detector, a gamma radiation detector. And again, I mean, it's fine. Run detectors, collect data, do whatever, run, whatever you want to do is fine. It's open-ended. It's a free-for-all. Do whatever you want.
Right.
But he was asked. He said he was detecting a wormhole because there was a spike in the gamma radiation, or there was some reading of the gamma radiation. And the woman that was running the video, although she was a fan of his, did have a wonderful question. She asked him, Isn't that normal to have some of that radioactivity?
Wait, yes, I saw the same thing. What was it? She asked, "Is there natural sources of gamma radiation that can occur?" Right.
And he said basically no. If it, I forgot his exact words.
He said, "Wait, I have it here," because that quote stood out to me too.
Yeah.
The quote was, "If there is, then everybody would be dead of cancer."
Right. So again, he didn't look up his radiation physics because there was background gamma radiation everywhere, and these detectors will pick up some of that background radiation, and they're not foolproof. These are not very super high end detectors. There was even Stephanie at that point posted online, and I can't remember where it is, but there's some organization that tracks this stuff all across the country. You can get a map that shows all the gamma radiation levels all over the country, all the background levels. And she posted a photo of, in front of their offices, they have a counter, a digital gamma radiation counter that has the number of, the readings of the gamma radiation background that you can check out online.
Right.
I did not know this. That's pretty interesting.
And he was claiming that was an emerging wormhole because of the radiation, the particle annihilation. Is coming from the wormhole and emerging wormholes and all that stuff. But he was just misinformed on that. And again, assuming that there's wormholes. So
if I'd spent less time stealing cars, I would know this stuff.
Oh man.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I let's see, where is it? I looked it up. I was looking it up yesterday, and I thought I saved it, but I found there was like 3 sites, and I think they actually worked together where they monitored all the background radiation across the United States and then several other countries, and they pulled it from various sources, various stations all over the country.
Yes.
And it kept it up to date, like every minute or so, it updated the background.
I'm going to ask a stupid question because, it's going to come from me, but we're talking radiation gets emitted naturally from the planet also, or we're talking of radiation that's coming from outer space, or we're just talking both of them at the same time?
It's basically a little of both, although I think they tend to say that a lot of that background gamma radiation is coming from the ground, the Earth, radon, and not so much, although some do get through from the atmosphere, some particles get through, but I don't know if it's high enough to detect. There is, I'm trying to see if I can find that site too. I don't remember where it where it was, but there was a map that was really cool.
Yeah, it was like a breakdown in the United States, and it had readings all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kenny will find it, and once he puts this on YouTube, it'll be there.
I'm gonna find. I swore I saved it on my phone, and I'm going crazy trying to find it.
As long as you don't save none of your nude pics, I don't care about those.
Well, I only send you one a day.
Yeah, I can't.
That's pretty interesting stuff, though. I like, it's stuff like that I enjoy learning about. Even though not my area, but still, I enjoy that. So,
yeah, it's amazing stuff. Because I mean, when he said that, and we've had conversations before, Mitch, where you've mentioned that about the monitoring stations, and just after watching the videos again, and that question being asked, it made me go look at it, and it was a pretty cool just seeing. Like I still need to do research because I didn't quite understand the graphs.
I found it's called radiationnetwork.com.
There you go.
Radiationnetwork.com, and there's a map with background radiation. But yeah, I need to learn a little bit more about that. So, unfortunately, I have been involved with radiation in the laboratories because we have hot labs historically. Yeah. And actually, one of my sites actually has a hot lab right now. They use tritium and iodine 125 in some of the studies. And I've administered the program and had to... there's very strict rules and regulations on keeping those labs clean because you don't want to leave contamination. And you have to rule out when you're doing, especially tritium, which is H3, is beta waves. They don't travel very far, and you can block it with a piece of plexiglass. The iodine is gamma radiation. And when you do your counts and your measurements to make sure nothing's contaminated, you have to rule out background radiation also. Because you do get gamma counts. You get little clicks on the meter sitting there in a clean lab.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
there you. I mean that's beautiful. You have a clean lab that's supposed to be free of it, and you still get background gamma radiation.
Yep. You still get a click here and there on these meters. Now these meters are meant to really read higher amounts. So if you had something that was designed to read the much lower amounts, then you would probably get much higher readings than these like
interesting
little detectors.
That's nothing though. He has a garage, all right? That's where he does these experiments.
There you go.
And I'm gonna go play with radiation for a while.
And you know what? This show's gonna go up, and you know what? Your comments are gonna get me in trouble. I'm gonna get yelled at because of what you said.
Well, yeah.
But no, that's interesting because I mean that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to look at these claims that are being made, and that's a major issue. You know, if he's factoring in gamma radiation measurements, but doesn't consider that there's any background radiation, then there's a major flaw.
Right, and if he does consider background radiation, he's not telling us, and we need to know that.
Okay, yeah.
But it's all part of understanding what his equipment is doing. Just like how he's setting up the signal processor and setting up all those details, nobody can reproduce what he's doing exactly.
Right. I mean, though I did read that it was another like ghost group that I guess attempted to recreate it, but I couldn't find any details about it.
Goners tried it. Goners. The New England group.
That's how they got that ghost in the basement.
You heard about that, didn't you, Mitch?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I remember the Goners thing. Pretty messy. But I don't want to sit here and talk all David stuff.
Good. Well, then I got a hard question for you then, because I asked the hard questions. Recently on our Facebook post, I put something up about UFOs. And I made a comment to Kenny. Now, you speak for your whole community. So what you say here affects everybody. So the question is, every time some scientist dies, before he dies, he starts talking about aliens.
Is this about the deathbed confession?
Hey, I'm asking the hard question here.
The fake, the hoax.
So, when you pass away, do you have some hidden video about E.T. and aliens and some science somewhere back there that you can tell us right now? Right?
An exclusive.
Instead of wait till you after you die, because if you die, I can't ask you this.
What's going to happen is I have videos of wormholes.
Damn.
And that's all going to come out. But don't tell anybody that right now. But yeah, isn't it funny? You're right, though. That this happens constantly whenever these people are about to kick, Area 51 people. They always have some sort of thing to say, which is again, yeah, it's all a hoax. Either the person's a lunatic and he lost his mind and he's on his way out anyway, or this is all fed into, or this person had nothing to ever do with Area 51.
Okay, cool. So yes, you have a video.
And it was a toy. Did you see the picture of the toy?
I think I didn't get a chance to see it larger than my phone, and I can't even barely see my phone. But yeah, it looked pretty.
Well, he posted. He had those pictures that he said was an alien, but then somebody else posted the picture, and it was actually a doll
Cool.
that he took pictures of.
Excellent.
I mean, the guy's doing this big confession, and he's taking pictures out of like the packet you get back from the supermarket when you drop your film off.
Yeah.
I'm like, no way, dude. There's no way you did this.
It's a conspiracy. That's a conspiracy. Somebody made that doll just to trump him.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Mitch, tell us about your experiments. The device you came up with that we worked on at the Shanley.
Okay.
Because we mentioned it, but we really didn't explain it.
Because I have one that's going to trump yours.
No, you don't. Shut up.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, again, we had the idea of the most compelling evidence, and I use that term lightly, that we have found in the past for paranormal is EVP. The only reason why it's more compelling for us is because when you get something on a recorder that sound-minded people are recording, and it wasn't a shuffle, and it didn't brush up against your clothes, and that you tried to exercise some sort of control, and you find something unique on the recording, it's compelling. Okay, again, I'm not claiming it's a ghost. Even my best EVP, that freaks me out and gives me chills every time, and I know exactly what went on when we caught it. I cannot claim it's a ghost.
What did it say?
Oh, that's a long story. It was in a cemetery.
Okay. Tacos.
The tacos. It said we were leaning on a headstone. It's on the website too. We were leaning on a headstone of this woman, Charity Smith, that died in the early 1800s. She was next to her husband, which was a Revolutionary War captain, and next to her was 3 little headstones of children that she buried. And the voice said, "Heaven hold them, leave them, leave them, leave them be." And said it 3 times, and there's 3 headstones for her children. So it was very freaky. Okay, I still freak out. I mean, we all probably have, whether we believe or not, I'm extremely skeptical. We probably all have incidents. I know Kenny has.
I swear he's looking at me.
Yeah. So we all have these incidents that keep us interested in this stuff. And that was mine because it was very freaky.
Wow.
Anyway, the EVPs are compelling to us, and we want to find out more about it. First of all, people say that you're picking up radio signals on a digital recorder, and I don't know why I never get the weather on my recorder. So, whatever. That's a whole other thing. Electronic experts say, well, there's a diode in it, so you're going to pick up radio signals, but it just doesn't happen. Whatever. It's a whole other discussion. So we wanted to do some research into EVPs, and we wanted to figure out different ways to record them. And then we came up with the idea of where are they coming from? I mean, is it just coming out of thin air? Is it actually happening in the room? Is it imprinting directly to your recorder through your microphone? There are ways that, with induction and...
Hey, he gave you the bird, Kenny.
Yeah. Yeah, my bird climbed out from underneath the desk. Oh. But you know what we're talking about there.
Wow, all the people that are listening to this.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Back to EVPs. So we came up. I came up with an idea with my son, and we put it together in the basement. And we worked on it and tried calibrating all that stuff. Is to record quadraphonic, record with 4 microphones set up in a grid equal distance inside a room. We picked microphones that were omnidirectional, inexpensive, which was good. They're like for security microphones, because a lot of microphones do not pick up sounds from a distance. You got to be right on top of them. Like if I took the microphone I'm talking to right now, and I went across the room, it may not pick it up very well. Especially big dynamic microphones.
Right.
You can't pick up the sound. It's done on purpose. I mean, somebody's going to sing into a microphone. You don't want to pick up the sound of the person standing next to you. So we picked these security microphones, that same type of stuff that's built into cameras and things for surveillance cameras, and they seem to be very sensitive. We tested them. We found some that have very similar gain to begin with.
Still here.
I put the 4 inputs through a gain controller that I built so I can adjust the microphones. They went through a USB interface that went into the laptop and recorded 4 channels simultaneously through the same device. And we decided to have some EVP sessions with the quadraphonic. I had a friend that write me a little piece of software where we can punch in the numbers. We could pick a point in which if we caught an EVP, we can measure the peaks, punch them into a piece of software, and the software will actually place it within the grid in the room that we had predetermined, like a 9-foot grid.
Oh, hell. See?
Second.
In case you're wondering, we're all sitting here with masks and helmets on.
Masks.
Hey, look, I can hear them from across the room.
Yeah. I don't have any masks. That's what I could do.
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah. Nobody knows what we're doing, but so we ran the experiment twice. One time we may have gotten some results. It's on NYACParanormal.com if anybody's interested. And
we spent the whole weekend on that. Or are we at the Shanley yet? Are you still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And we did it. We went to the Shanley. We set it up. I tried setting it up upstairs in the 3rd floor, and too many echoes, too many crazy angles on the ceiling. We couldn't get it calibrated right, so we wouldn't accept it.
Right.
So we moved down to a room that had some absorption furniture and stuff like that, and that worked out really good because we had Kenny help us calibrate. He'd go in the room. We wouldn't watch. He would make some sound. He'd speak. We'd find our peaks. We plotted it, and it came within. I think we were doing it within a foot.
Yeah.
we
even did a little better, but I think within a foot was acceptable.
Right.
And that sort of worked out.
Oh. The bird.
But yeah,
so have
yeah,
you
I do
ever played
remember
a
that.
practical joke on Kenny where you're doing these experiments?
No.
Not during the experiments. We took them very seriously.
Yeah.
Damn.
There's no
The
kidding
jokes
around.
happened the second time we did it. We went back to the Shanley, did it the second time, and so things broke down a little bit after the second time around.
Well,
And some
alcohol has
blood.
that effect.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure rum had something to do with this.
Yeah. a
yeah.
little
But
bit.
the first time we had some possible results, and it was interesting because there was a response to shaving a haircut. We don't know who did it, but we located that.
I think I do.
Yeah. And
That's another story.
Yeah, it's a whole other story. But we located that to a certain point in the room,
Mhm.
which was interesting. We had a possible EVP of somebody saying, put that down. And we, because Chris was using a funky spotlight thermal thermometer, and we did hear footsteps. And we've heard that before, too. We heard footsteps in the room. And I saw the video. Nobody's walking around. That was a little weird. That was weird. Because it's on the audio. It sounds like footsteps. I saw the video, which doesn't exist anymore, and there was nobody walking around. And it pinpointed to the same place that the people were talking about. They heard it in the room. Don't know what it was. Maybe the floors were creaking. I don't know, but it matched up. So it showed that there was accurate representation, and what we were going for was if EVPs sometimes are directed towards people. I mean, people capture things that say, get out. So they're telling you to get out. But where is it coming from? Is it coming from the door? Get out here. I'm showing you the door. Is it in your face? And the one EVP that we found sort of implied that it's in your face, that it comes from a different point in a room. To me, it still makes a lot of sense, but,
I got to go with you guys when you do this one day.
I'd like to do it again. I mean, all the stuff is piled up. I have to drag it all out and recalibrate. Right. Everything still works, but I still have it all.
But that was the important.
We have something set up for next year. Once I get up there, we're supposed to do the tour of America, as we call it, and go to all these different places and do different experiments. So maybe we could do it at that time.
And we could film it.
Yes.
That'd be fun. But, I mean, the main thing about those experiments was that you took time to calibrate it, and to make sure that the measurements were right. And yeah, we came within... It was closer than a foot each time. So you got within that range, and it was great. As opposed to, guesswork.
Right.
And that's the important thing to me, because you did all the testing. We tested it throughout the whole weekend, and you got it within a certain range that you felt was acceptable, and there it was. I mean, any noise that came up, you could pinpoint it within. I think we got within like 7 inches or 6.
It seemed to be. I think it was under a foot when we were calibrating. Yep.
Which is great, because I mean, once you get if you get a few people in a room and they start their recording session, their EVP session, and you have everybody speak, so you know where everybody is. You can pinpoint where everyone is, and now anything that happens at a room, as a noise or a voice or something like that, you can pinpoint it to within 7 to 12 inches and figure out if it's one of the people that were sent in there or if it's something else.
See, that's pretty cool. I like that kind of stuff. At least you're getting some kind of direction or distance with this.
Right.
The other place, it's just complete guessing games.
Right. And again, my microphones were omnidirectional, meaning that even if a sound happened outside my grid, we can still pick up outside the grid.
Right.
We were able to plot outside the square of the microphones. And another extension of that experiment that I want to do up on the 3rd floor at the Shanley, because the Shanley is my laboratory. I mean, you got to have a place to do it. So, I can do it at home too, whether it's haunted or not. But I want to put a microphone, one of those microphones, in each of 4 different rooms, and just do EVP, because a lot of people always think that they hear it in the other room, or I heard a voice over there. So if you do capture something, we may pick it up and know which room it came from. So it's the same. It's just it doesn't have to be measured out on the grid, but at least you're narrowing it down to a room. And that's going to be interesting also, because a lot of people think EVPs just come out of nowhere and it's like evenly spread out over the whole place. You just pick it up on your recorders. But this will also show that maybe it's coming from a separate area, especially if it's away from anything that might produce a noise, like people rubbing on their microphones or their recorders or shuffling their feet or whispering. So, that's something that we want to try. We never had a chance to do that yet.
That sounds pretty cool. That's real cool.
Yeah, well, I'm up for it.
So, are you a Jedi or are you a Sith?
Me? I'm a both. Sorry.
That was a great answer.
Me too. I grew up with Star Trek, so it's in my green blood. What can I say?
I like it.
You're out of your Vulcan mind.
So, do you like some of the new renditions of the Star Trek movies that have come out, or are you kind of not too thrilled about them? Because I've heard some of the Star Trek purists say, "Oh, he took it to a different universe or whatever."
Yeah, I love them. I think it's great. I think they're holding true to the original characters. They're still maintaining Gene Roddenberry's original vision, but they updated it. I mean, it's great. The 60s show, I mean, I like the original series the best. The 60s shows is great. They're ahead of their time, but they're dated, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think that the reboot and because the time travel thing and they rebooted the whole thing. That's fine with me. It's science fiction. Spock died and he came back. You know, it's science fiction, so they can do that stuff. That's great about science fiction. So I
loved it. Go ahead.
No, you go. I want to hear your opinion.
All right. Well, the reason I loved it.
Nobody wants to hear his opinion.
You shut up.
Shut up, Lou.
Was because this franchise had basically almost died, and I thought the way he redid it by going through his time and everything just rebooted the whole universe again. I mean, look, they're talking about bringing back Kirk for the next film. I think, what is it, next year or the year after that?
Yep.
So, here we go. That's Kenny. Look, see?
Wow. He's got a Star Trek emblem. Lights up.
Something, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have one better.
I think it really needed the whole reboot in order to give that franchise a whole new life. Because it just got too slow for today's crowd, you could say.
Yeah, well, is that the Plush Enterprise?
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah?
Lego.
Oh, man. It's awesome. Love it.
But you know what? While you've been talking, look, this is what I do. I build models on the side. I enter them in contests and I give them away as gifts. I'm working on the Enterprise, but I'm completely lighting it up from the inside.
Excellent. I love that. I was going to do one of those models, actually. And then I totally had no time. Yep, this is great stuff. I got some of the old. They're all in the basement right now, in the cabinet. I got a lot of the old toys,
Lasers, stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I bought. The Polar Lights came out with a 1/3 Enterprise. I bought it. I sat down. I looked at it. I said, "Yeah, this is about 2 years worth of work, and I have absolutely no time." So I sold it. I did almost open the box.
You got to open in the box. No, they've reissued that kit. I think they just reissued it a month or two ago. And again, with all the lights, I think it's going for $200 is what it's going for.
Yeah.
But I know a couple guys who they drill out every single window in the hull and on the saucer, and all the lights come on. They're beautiful. There's a Facebook page that I go to just to go look at their stuff. And I've done the same thing. I look at that kit when I'm working on it, and I'll do one wire from one location to another. And like, okay, I'm done for the day. I haven't touched it for the past 3 months, but I need to get back to it because I'm so envious of the guys that do this.
Well, with the real model makers, I mean, they're amazing. I got to meet. Excuse me.
Stop dying.
Yeah, it's tough. I hope I can beat this cold. I got to meet a special effects guy that works in Hollywood. He's working on the show Defiance.
Oh.
He did Star Trek for many years. That's awesome. Look at that. It's really cool. He worked on Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. Great stuff. And he's posted so many amazing pictures of Star Trek models and like the people he knows who went into their garage and emptied out all the parts and he'd come out with an Enterprise or one of the nacelles from one of the movies and things. It's just amazing stuff. Very fascinating guy. He's also supported our volunteer effort over in Queens, New York, for many years. But the stuff that he has posted, the pictures and things, is just amazing. His models, just amazing. The detail is fantastic. He's a good guy too. So that's pretty cool. You watched Face Off? He was actually a guest judge on Face Off one week.
Really? I missed that one.
Doug Drexler. He's a very good guy.
So you're a big sci-fi fan? Yeah,
I like sci-fi a lot. Well, you know what? Good science fiction is based on science fact.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. So being a scientist, it helps.
I like that.
Yeah.
I just text you the name of that group.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to check that
out. On Facebook. Yeah, they're really interesting. Really good. I mean, you'll probably enjoy it. Kenny doesn't care.
No, whatever.
He's communist.
Star Wars.
Yeah, it's cool. Star Wars, I like Star Wars a lot. So it should be interesting to see J.J. Abrams does with it when he's juggling. He's got Star Trek in one hand and Star Wars in the other.
I know.
Nobody doesn't get confused. You're going to see Jedis on the Enterprise, I think.
Well, I've been watching.
Well, R2-D2 makes a couple cameos in the last two movies of Star Trek.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. on the first one, when Kirk's dad rams into the Romulan ship, I think it was. Now, in all the debris field, you see an R2 unit in the distance floating.
Oh yeah, I've heard something about that. Those little things hidden in there.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's another one where Kirk and Spock are arguing in one of the bays, and as the Federation is low, I guess it's the hangar bay on the planet here on Earth.
Yeah.
You see in the background they're loading an R2D2 unit again, and then another time, you know how they do the screen where the camera comes in from the back end of the Enterprise and works its way to the front.
Yeah.
Well, if you look really close, there's an R2 unit on the back. excuse me, on the back end of the saucer, just like if it was on the back end of the X-wing.
Yeah, that's funny. you gotta love those things.
Yeah.
Yep. Excuse me.
So we are over an hour recording
Are we?
here. Yeah. So I know it's kind of late. I don't want to keep you up too much longer, Mitch.
Old man.
Yeah.
I do want to add one more thing about the paranormal stuff and the stuff we want to do and all that. And we've always challenged the current theories. Like I said, I've been trying to make people who use K2 meters run RF detectors right next to it, because 99% of the time you get a blip, it's probably a radio signal. Nobody knows it unless you have an RF detector.
Right.
One of the last experiments that this is the only thing I'll touch upon besides, the dowsing rods. I actually sold 2 dowsing rods recently. All of a sudden, out of the blue, 2 people wanted dowsing rods. The secure and steady dowsing rods. But one of the
scientific dowsing rods.
Yeah, they are. It's amazing how you can build something that doesn't work. And it's interesting. But one of the last experiments that I set up, which I unofficially ran a couple of times, it's interesting. Geosensors. People are running geosensors all the time.
Yeah.
They're putting it down on the floor and they catch a vibration and they heard, footsteps and they think it's a ghost. Meanwhile, they're so sensitive that they'll pick up any vibration in the house. Come on, bird, stop it. He's picking at himself right in my ear over here.
Mitch is playing with his bird.
Yeah. So I bought the components for a geosensor, the little sensor in the circuit board. I didn't put it in a box. I left it out in the open. Whoops, sorry. I left it out in the open so there's no hidden tricks. And instead of putting it directly on the floor, I built this little isolation table. It's a metal frame with isolation feet, and I strung some rubber bands across a square opening, and I placed the geosensor on top. So when you place it in a room and you walk around, it doesn't go off. You can oscillate it. If you went, let's say, in the hallway or in the room, and you started bouncing,
okay,
you can get it to oscillate, but that doesn't usually happen in a building. It's usually, the quick vibrations. So I figured, all right, if you're going to ghost hunt and you're going to have a geosensor, why put it on the floor when you know why you put it on the floor? Because you guaranteed results.
Yeah.
The thing is going to go off somehow.
Well, it comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. Quick results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if you put it on this vibration thing, you tell a ghost, again, very loosely used term, to come over and touch your geosensor.
He said touch.
Ask the ghost to come and touch my bird. But if the geosensor goes off, then what force is making it move? Nothing can really make that go off unless you oscillating the building, because it's now isolated from the vibrations of the building. So we take that a step further. I'm trying to show people that the equipment they're using, the way you're using it, has flaws. And trying to show them a better way to use it, even though it still may not give you any results, but at least you're putting that control into it. Remember, we talked about science is all controls and variables.
Right.
You have to control as many variables as possible, and you're only testing one variable at a time. Now, in paranormal, you can't do that. You can have multiple variables all the time because you're in different places. You get different results, different people. You can't control it, but you can try to minimize and put as much control into it as possible. Geosensor, you got no control if you just put it on the floor. So if you isolate it, then you're adding control. You're not going to have typical building vibrations setting it off. So
Awesome.
have your ghost come and touch your geosensor.
I love the way that ghost hunters, anybody, will find something at mom and dad's, pop shop store and say, this will be great for ghost hunting. Like the K2. So the other day I was at Toys R Us, and I saw the best thing for looking for ghosts. You know those machines that all they do is it just spins like a little carousel and it just shoots out bubbles
Yep.
all day long? Well, I was thinking about setting up a place with maybe 10 of those, and if one of them pops while it's in there, that tells me a ghost has walked by or he's poking my bubbles.
You know what? Perfect. Guaranteed results.
See, that's my results. So
Yep.
if they all start going off, it's science.
Well, it's funny. We did do an article on our website called I wrote it called "Ghost Hunting Guaranteed Success," and it talks about every aspect of the ghost hunting, the typical ghost hunter setup that guarantees the results. Being in the dark, the technical jargon, photography. At this point, Paranormal will not accept any photograph as evidence. It's just you can't.
You can't.
You can't. You get 10,000 photographs. If one you can't explain, it's still statistically insignificant.
Yeah.
EMF meters going off. Whoops. If the flashlights come on. So all these things are guaranteeing success.
Well, just like when I take my Chihuahua, we go out and ghost hunts together. And the minute he starts barking, it's right there.
You totally stole that off of Ghost Hunters.
Hey, I did not. This was. I've been working on this experiment and research for the past 5 years.
Can't even come up with your own idea.
I did.
Whatever.
Liar.
When he wags his tail, you know that you're going to get an EMF spike or something.
That's right. Or if it pees on my foot, then that tells me something.
If we stayed on longer, I'm sure you would see the bird poop on me.
I'm waiting for it. I've been watching the screen like, this is great. It's got shit right down the front of your shirt.
He will do that eventually.
Nice.
I put up with that because he's my buddy. But
So how long have you had the bird?
he's about 10 years old, a little over 10 years old.
Wow.
So is he like just losing his feathers, or
No, he's got mental problems. He likes to pull out his feathers. He was much worse. He's letting some of them grow back in right now, but he's pulling his down out now. So I don't know if there's any feathers laying there. The floor is probably filled with them. But he took all of his. He used to be beautiful green and yellow. Now he's just fluffy white.
Yes, fluffy white. I go with that.
Ridiculous. He's ridiculous. He's not a bird. I call him a chicken anyway. Look at that. Look how stupid that looks. Tail? See? Some tail feathers coming in.
Oh my goodness.
And some of the feathers come in abnormal. You chews them up and they come in like half green and half yellow. Whoa, careful, bird. But yeah, he's my buddy. He's very funny. He's affectionate. He cuddles. He bites. I bleed.
So,
he's my buddy.
Mitch, tell us about the dowsing rod thing that you came up with that I love and use.
Oh, you're talking about this.
Secure and steady dowsing rods. I wish I came up with a better name than that, but that's what stuck. Pretty corny. Again, we challenge the theories. I mean, we look for controls. So, like I said, controls for a K2 meter would be an RF detector, among other things. So the dowsing rods obviously are manipulated by the user. You can, some are more skilled in it than others, but you can pretty much see them moving their hands to make the rods splay or cross. So I came up with an idea of, we need to lock those two rods together, very parallel with each other and level, and see what can happen. So I built a frame, made my dowsing rods, 99.9% copper, so people would like it. Aluminum handles in a plexiglass frame. Have a bubble level. It's tripod mountable, so you can mount it on a tripod, make it perfectly even, put your hands on it, and douse away. You can even walk with it and try to keep it as even as possible. And the premise is either to disprove its use, or if people really feel that they have the talents, that they may not need the apparatus to get a response. they can train themselves to see. Yeah, there's the frames.
Yeah, I'll throw a picture up.
Yeah.
Do you know I cursed you when you came out with that?
Oh yeah.
Yep, because my business went from $50 a week to zero. People come to me, predict my future. Okay, left or right, you live or die. Now that I have this, I can't do anything. I can't find water with them. Nothing.
Well, I had given a few out. Like Kenny got a prototype early on.
I hate you because you have one. I don't.
And let's see who else. Gowan. I even sent one to Jason Gowan.
Oh,
he was very much into the paranormal. He was very interested in it.
Notice that these all people are white. They all got it, and I didn't. That means I have to break into his house and take them.
Who's playing the race card now?
Yep. But it was interesting. I did get one result from somebody saying that, yeah, they didn't make they made the rods move, but they figured out that they have the telekinetic powers to make them move, and it was interesting. Put it that way. But it was, that's a good result. They did not say that, whatever. It was an interesting result.
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, that's what I was going for. I wanted to get a lot of different feedbacks, and somebody says that definitely you cannot manipulate them. The only way it can be done is maybe telekinetically or something. At least that's how they felt. And that was one of the reasons I made them, like I said, is the people that truly believe that they have dowsing abilities. Maybe they'll find something in themselves. Maybe they are sensitive to certain things. And maybe they're responding with the rods subconsciously. And
that would be the ideomotor effect.
Exactly, but maybe they can detect water, but they don't need the rods to detect water.
Right.
You were selling these online for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, they're still for sale online. I have a few of them laying around. I don't push it. It's not what I'm in for it for. There's a lot of time and materials involved in making one of those things. So,
reserve me one because I'm gonna place an order for it probably this coming week.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I have one built ready to go. But
right.
Email me.
Okay.
So,
make sure you charge them like 20% more.
I'll make you free enchiladas, and I'll show you a really good enchilada recipe.
There. Crunching in my ear. Would you stop it, bird? But yeah, the dowsing rods are just another extension of trying to add control to a method that's being used. And
I love them because I've taken them on the conferences that I'm allowed to go to, and the lectures that I've done. I take it with me, and sometimes I just keep it in the bag. Once in a while, I'll bring it out. I'll lay it on the table with the dowsing rods, and wait for someone to ask. Or if I see somebody playing with dowsing rods and really promoting them, I'll go up and start talking to them and say, hey, you know what? I mean, if you really have this ability, I have something that I want you to try. And I'll show it to them and explain it to them. And most of the time, they don't want to do it.
Yeah. I had a good experience in Gettysburg one time. I went up to the table where John Zathis was sitting. And he had with him, what's her name from, oh man, it just escaped my mind. Hunting, Connecticut. What's her name?
Come on, Lou, you watch this shit.
I know who he's talking about.
This is a nice lady, but Carmen Reed.
Yes.
Yes, Carmen Reed. So she was sharing the table with him, selling, DVDs. And she was telling me that on her way in, she dropped her dowsing rods and ran over him with her car or something, so she just bought a new set. So she was sitting there playing with her dowsing rods, and they were crossing and doing all this stuff, and they were communicating with her, and she was being friendly with her dowsing rods. And I said, wait a second, I got to show you something. So I pulled out the secure dowsing rods, my rig, and I handed it to her. John was there, too, and he was looking over her shoulder, and he was saying, he said, hey, you got something there. He was looking at it. He thought they were really cool. And she grabbed a hold of him, and she started talking to him, everything like that. Nothing was happening. She started talking to him. Her face started getting a little angry. She turned a little red, and she pushed them away and grabbed her rods and practically cuddled with them because she needed to have that response that she couldn't get with those. So that was worth it right there. That made my day that Carmen had some issues with it.
And it's great. I mean, I'm going to throw pictures up of it, but explain what is this? What are these blocks?
Oh, yeah, those are 1/2-inch by 1-inch plexiglass beams that hold the two aluminum handles where the copper rods will slide into so they can pivot. There's a top piece and a bottom cross piece. On the bottom cross piece, there's the tripod mount on the bottom and a bubble level. So you can try to keep it as level as possible.
Right.
I also have a stand so you can stand it on if you have a level table. I had one person buy one, and he was really strange. There were a lot of issues with this guy anyway, so I was a little nervous selling him one. And he wrote back to me saying that they're broken, they don't work, there's something wrong. He puts them on the stand, he puts them on his table, and it's not level. And I tried to explain to him, well, why don't you check to see if your table is level? And he couldn't understand that. I had to have another friend who knew him explain that to him, and his table was not level, so he finally figured it out. So I almost had my one and only return because it wasn't level.
So you're at 100% reliability so far.
Yeah, nobody's complained about them, whether they work or not, because maybe they're truly interested in learning something from them. So that would be nice. I mean, I would take it back if they really had a problem with it, because, again, that's not what I'm in it for.
I think it's great. I mean, it takes out the human factor, basically. It takes out the ability to manipulate them. And, I mean, if it's doing what they say it's doing, like if the rods are supposed to be crossing or splitting because of the water that you're running or walking over, or if it's the spirits that are answering your questions and manipulating rods, then these things being locked into these blocks should have absolutely nothing to do with it.
Right, and it still allows you to hold on to it, so if you're channeling the energy through them, you're still making that connection.
You're still holding on to the handles, just like you were if they were free.
Yep,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, if we could do this with those radios that talk to the dead, that'd be good too.
The broken radios.
That's
yeah.
That's a whole nother show.
And it's interesting. On my website, I have a banner halfway down that has a picture of an orb with the red cross through it, and a picture of a maglite with the red cross through it. And it says, "We do not accept photographs of orbs or the use of the flashlight trick as evidence of paranormal activity. These are normal occurrences under predictable conditions." And I stick by that. I want to add to it that we don't accept photographic evidence either, but I haven't gotten to that. We haven't updated the site recently, but Stephanie and I want to work this winter, hopefully, on firing up some new stuff, because we've really been out of it for a while because of our volunteer work that we're doing in Queens, the old the World's Fair site.
Tell us about that real quick. Go ahead.
All right, real quick. 1964, 1965, New York World's Fair in Flushing, Queens. It was also 1939, 1940, there was a World's Fair in the same location. It intrigued me as a kid. I was 6, 7 years old when I went there. A lot of good memories. It was a very interesting time for the country. In the middle 60s, it was right after it was being built as Kennedy was assassinated. The Vietnam War was starting to ramp up. Civil rights were on the forefront. It was a very interesting time for the country. I mean, it was safe to leave your doors unlocked, but that was sort of changing pretty soon in the near future. So the World's Fair was not a sanctioned World's Fair because it was one in the United States just a couple of years earlier out on the West Coast. So Robert Moses, who built New York City at that time, a lot of controversy involved in that too, but that's another story. He decided to build the World's Fair. He invited countries. Not every country, not every corporation came, but it happened. He pulled it off. Instead of being open for just 1 year, they had plans to keep it open for 2 years, open 6 months a year over the 2 years. After the fair was ended, they tore down 95% of the fair. They left a few buildings over. One of the buildings they left over was the New York State Pavilion, which most people are familiar with from the movie Men in Black, that where the towers, where the flying saucer.
Yeah.
They made some World's Fair jokes there, too, and they had World's Fair postcards in the movie. They made a joke about, planting the flying saucers there, and And that's, why would they put a World's Fair in Queens for any other reason than that? So the
Must
building,
be aliens.
Yes. So shortly after the fair closed, the building was supposed to be repurposed for art galleries and stuff like that. It never happened. There was three components: the towers, the Big Tent of Tomorrow, which is a big oval structure, had the largest suspension roof at the time, and then a round theater. The theater was repurposed. It's still a thriving theater. In 1969, they had concerts there. Grateful Dead played there. Led Zeppelin played there.
Cool.
Santana played there. They had some really big names from back in the 60s played there. Then, for a few years, it was turned into a skating rink, and then the roof panels started falling off. They had to take all the roof panels down. There was a big terrazzo map of New York State on the floor. It was beautiful. Once the roof came down, that started deteriorating. The skate park closed up, and then the building was never opened since. So that was 1974. So all these years it's been closed and neglected. In 1990s, the theater painted stripes on the building to mimic what it looked like during the World's Fair. And we decided to come along since nothing was happening almost exactly 5 years ago. The anniversary is on Sunday of our 5-year anniversary of our volunteer effort. We decided to repaint the place on the outside. We had donated paint. When we finished the outside, we couldn't get any more paint. We did crowdfunding. We raised probably close to total, including the event, probably $7,000 worth, so we can fix up the building and repaint it. We've held, for the first time since 1974, in April, for the anniversary of the World's Fair, we opened up the gates. We got permissions from Parks Department, and we expected like 800 people, and probably 5,000 people showed up. The line went around the building and out. It's all over.
Wow.
CNN covered it. NBC Nightly News covered it. We had great coverage. We have a website called nystproject.org that has all the progress reports and stuff. We made history that day. Then we reopened again in May. We were only able to get 2,000 people through the building in 6 hours. We had to give them hard hats because it's not safe. It's not really open to the public. We just opened it for the events.
Yeah.
And we made history, and this is all part of advocating for reuse of the building. Some other organizations formed to try to help also, but we think our event really turned the tide because the elected officials that were there that day saw people, online that was a mile long, and they finally allocated the first $6 million towards starting restoration on the towers.
Sweet.
So I think we made a big difference. I mean, some other social media groups might claim they did, but I think it was the fact that they saw these thousands of people there that were there because it was our event.
Nice.
So we've held 3 events. The last one, only about 500 people came through the pavilion because it's a freezing cold day. We'll probably do it again next year, but we're very proud of what we've accomplished and the money we raised. I mean, it's been a ton of work, and you go out there and painting and cleaning and shoveling, and the place is still a wreck, but we love it, and we're committed towards hopefully saving. We're in a couple of documentary movies too.
So you have a passion for history.
Yes, we like history. We like
I love it.
They did a great article. Preservation Magazine from fall of 2013
Yes.
did an article that we were in.
I have a copy of that.
You do?
You sent it to me.
Oh, yeah, okay, great. Yep, that's right. It was awesome because that's a national recognition. A National Trust for Historic Preservation is a big deal. And we worked well with them, and they did that article. It starts out with a giant M for Mitch.
Yep.
It freaked me out when it came out, but they did reprints. They made these beautiful reprints of the article that they were giving out at these events too. And we just love it. We're very proud. That's why we're going to celebrate on Sunday. We're going to all go out to dinner and celebrate our 5-year anniversary. It started with just 2 of us and this big, huge building. We painted the first stripes, and then it just took on legs shortly after that. It's an amazing thing to be involved in.
That's awesome. Not here in California, we destroyed those buildings.
Yep.
We have no use for old historic buildings out here. We just need more parking lots and malls.
I don't know. I can tell you one thing. I've been out to Balboa Park in San Diego, and that's all left over from a World's Fair, all those buildings. And they repurposed them. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's really nice down there.
So the end game here is you want to get, I'm assuming that's the only building there. You want to get it back in working order? And are you possibly maybe thinking of hosting maybe another World's Fair there?
They'll never have another World's Fair because it's way too expensive. The United States, they don't even participate in the international World's Fairs anymore. It's just
Really?
expensive. Yeah, there's one coming up in Italy, I think, next year. And I don't think the U.S. is going. And they're not going to host one within the United States ever again either. I mean, the last one they did was 1982, I think.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a shame because it does... I think if you need a World's Fair in the United States, that's Epcot right now.
Yeah.
Disney did help with a few pavilions at the World's Fair, and his vision for Epcot grew out of the World's Fair. So he built Epcot right after the World's Fair closed, and he did move some of the Disney stuff out to Disneyland and then out to Disney World. It's a Small World ride from Disney World that came from the World's Fair.
Really?
Yep,
I didn't know that.
Yep, it was Pepsi sponsored it. Disney was brilliant. He had Pepsi pay for it. When it was over, he packed it up and moved it to Disneyland and built it. And then now every park has a duplicate copy of that.
Right.
Carousel of Progress, which is in Disney World, that originally at the World's Fair. They moved that to California, then they moved it to Florida.
Wow.
Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which is the Hall of Presidents, that originated at the World's Fair, the first animatronics president. Plus, they did a bunch of other conveyor belt rides, which then set the standard for their conveyor belt rides at the Disney parks.
See, that's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's kind of sad, though, that, we don't participate in any more of these fairs, though. That you would think we would be part of that.
Yep,
I mean, that's where we got Iron Man from.
Right.
Oh, my God.
It's funny you say Iron Man because that was the New York State Pavilion they used in Iron Man 2. The representation.
Have you got like any big donors, let's say like Trump or somebody, to help you out?
Donald Trump?
Not yet. They're hoping they get somebody. Once the city puts money into it, then they're hoping somebody's going to step and say, well, nobody wanted to be the first. But the building needs to repurpose it fully, $70 million.
Well, I mean, Donald listens to the show now. That's what I heard. So,
Donald's not interested. Donald would be interested if somebody else spent the $70 million. He'd come and put his name on it. That's how Donald works. Okay. It's funny. People compare it to the Woolman Rink. If you lived in New York at all, years ago, the city was trying to redo an ice skating rink in Central Park. And they floundered. Like, after 2 years, they still couldn't get it done. Trump comes in and says, I'll do it. And like in 3 months, he had it done. Now, people think he did it out of his pocket. But no, he made a deal with the city saying, I'll do it for this amount of money. I'll finish out the contract. You pay me to do it, which they did. He did get paid, but the biggest motivating factor was he was building across the street. He was building a high-rise that had view of the rink. And he did not want to sell his high-rise with a construction zone across the street. Okay. So he took it over. He got it finished. He got his money for it, and that was the story. So, but it gets embellished over the years that he came in and saved the day and paid for it out of his pocket, which is nonsense. He doesn't do that. He doesn't spend his own money to build these places. He's brilliant. Right?
So you're out of New York, am I right? Somewhere.
Yep.
Okay. Because I was about to say, if you're out of Philly, you're really making a drive to go from Philly up to Queens. Yeah.
Well, it's still. I mean, between tolls and everything, it's an expensive trip back and forth, but it's worth it. We love it.
See, Kenny, we have to. When I go back up there, we got to go up there with him and visit him.
Yes, we have to put that on our schedule, dude, because that would be amazing to go up and visit that place.
Yeah, you have to get the private tour of the tent tomorrow. We can't get into the towers, but the tent is still pretty cool. The place is amazing.
Yeah, because like I said, I've always loved history. For me, old buildings, and when I went over to Paris, France, and just to walk up and put my hands on the Cathedral of Notre Dame.
Wow, yeah.
So, and my wife was trying to talk to me, and I go, no, let me just feel this moment, because through here, people from hundreds of years ago walked through here. I just want to get the whole moment. Yeah. And see, that kind of stuff I enjoy. People like you who do that should be commended. I do me, I'm out here. I work with on the side. I work with veterans who are down on their luck, and we'll try getting them back up and trying to get them going.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's because I was a vet. I'm a veteran,
Right.
And like they said, nobody else will understand another veteran unless you've been in their boots.
Right.
So,
I agree.
but no, that you doing that with that building, and I think Kenny does stuff with the Moriah Cemetery.
Mount Moriah, yeah, cemetery.
Yeah. So see, this is the type of stuff that's great. You know, this type of stuff is really, really awesome. So
You got to give back somehow, you know?
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
we gotta go do ghost hunts over there at your building too.
Actually, it's funny you say that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I've seen, and it could have been my mind playing tricks, but twice I've seen an apparition that pretty much looked the same.
Come on,
One was
Lou. Get up here.
Yeah, well, one was at the pavilion, inside the pavilion at 7 in the morning in a lit up room, and the other one was at work. It seemed the same. 76 days later, I saw one at work. It was really freaky. I have the stories online on the website. But I was in one of these back rooms inside, and with the flashlight going, and it looked like somebody walked out. And I chased after him because nobody's supposed to be in there. It's close to the public. We have the combination lock to the gate.
It was me.
It was squatters.
It was about your size, and I heard crunching tacos, I think. So
He's got you pegged.
He
Yeah.
does.
so we actually did an EVP. We did record once there just to see what we would get. We think we may have gotten something, but who knows? It was funny because Stephanie, who's from Pennsylvania, was reviewing it, and we were asking, is somebody back here? Because we heard some noise. Meanwhile, the place is infested with raccoons and cats, and they run through all the old ductwork. But it sounded like somebody went, here. Like, where are you? And went, here. And she didn't think of anything because she's from Philly, and New York accent, the word here would have 2 syllables. Not in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So it sounded like somebody going, here.
Here.
Yeah, you go here. Back here in Brooklyn, they might say here.
Yeah.
So we're not sure. My mind could have been playing tricks twice. I'm not going to admit to anything other than I saw something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it came in my brain.
Yeah, because we're talking about when I go back up there, I told him the earliest I can head up to Philly would be in February. And we're talking about going to whatever, some haunted locations. He's going to take me over to the Exorcist Stairway.
Oh, yeah.
DC. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but I'm trying to get him to come down here so we can go to Tombstone. And nothing but excuses from him. So, but...
Whatever. I'm going to slap the shit out of you.
Tombstone...
We're doing it. We're going to do it.
Well,
Lou and I
have
are
an
going to go out to Tombstone because
We
there's
have an
that,
argument going on about Tombstone.
there's that picture from the cemetery out there where the guy's standing there dressed as a cowboy and there's supposedly a ghost behind him.
Oh, yes. Right.
Which is, all it is somebody stuck a hat on a frickin' cross.
Yeah, field behind them.
Yeah.
We
So we're going to go out there. And
We
we're gonna,
spent 2 hours
you shut up.
texting
We're going to go out there.
drawings back and forth to each other of what we thought it was.
And
2
then,
hours. That's all
then
we
when you
did.
came out here and stayed in my basement, we spent an entire morning at breakfast in a diner arguing about it.
Really?
Yeah, we did.
That's excellent. That's cool. That is good.
But yeah, we're definitely going to have to come up and when Lou gets his ass out here, we're going to come up and visit you at that place
Yeah.
and check it out because that would be cool. I'd like to get some photographs and we'll just go around with video cameras too and just film ourselves being stupid.
Yeah, you'd love it with your with the high res camera. You get great pictures. David Manch, David Manch?
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually came out there for a visit one time and brought his camera because he's a photographer. He took some great shots. Wait, I can show you one.
Oh.
I know it's getting late.
I love this guy. No, it's not late for me. We can go for another 3 hours.
You shut up.
Whatever.
It's 11:30 here.
This is a picture that he took.
Wow.
Wait, I don't want the glare on it. A picture he took and a little bit of special effects from inside. So
That's awesome.
It was a good,
That's the inside?
yeah.
I thought I was looking at a skeleton of a building looking outside.
I thought I was looking at a painting. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Hard to tell on this thing, but I think this picture's on our nyspproject.org.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna have to steal that so I can throw it up.
and then
show people.
I'll steal it from you.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome building. It's huge. It's 325 feet by 250 feet. It's an elliptical building. It's over 100 feet tall. The tallest tower is 226 feet tall.
I want to see the towers.
We gotta go. We gotta go. So when we go out there, where's a good place that you're gonna take us out to eat?
There's Lou, always thinking about food.
We'll figure it out because we live on hot dogs at the snack stands in that park. It's like a tradition to go get a hot dog, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, if you can come up,
we're having hot dogs, bitch.
I'm paying for dinner. You be quiet over there.
Okay. I'll be quiet if you're paying.
I'm paying.
All right. Well, it's 11:30 here.
Yep.
In Pennsylvania and New York.
Yeah, you can edit this down. I was pretty boring, so you can edit it out.
No. You were great.
It was great. I loved it. We were talking about science. We were talking about science fiction. And now we're talking about history. I mean, that's three of our greatest things. We love that shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it.
And like we said, if everybody else who listens to this thinks it's boring, we don't care. We enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's what we do this for.
Yeah, we do it for ourselves and have fun.
As long as we're having fun and laughing at each other and making fun of each other, it's great.
But it's fun. It's great to finally talk to you, kind of in person.
Yeah, well, I've run into you before. We didn't get a lot of chance to talk about it, but
yeah.
Where did I see Lou? With your place or Mifflin? Mifflin one time, I think.
One of the two. It was probably that same weekend. One of the two.
Yeah,
I love Mifflin, but see, I love going to Mifflin because I got to help out, even though it's small and minuscule, but to help preserve that location.
Yeah.
And I talk about it over here, and everybody over here on the West Coast, what is that? They can care less. But
that might have been. You guys might have met that time because I think the first time I met you, Mitch, was at Fort Mifflin.
Yeah, but was that at Robin's first?
And I think, and Lou, you were at the event, right?
Yeah, Corbus came down too. Jason Corbus came down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at one of Robin's events.
And then we actually talked. I met Mitch because you had your homemade built 3D camera rig.
Right. Yep. And you were presenting. You did a talk.
I did a presentation, and you walked around with that rig, and I was like, what the hell is that? You got to tell me about this.
That's right, the 3D stuff. Yeah, we need to talk about that some other time. We're
definitely going to have you on again, and we'll talk about that stuff and whatever else comes up. That was awesome.
But before we go, there's one other thing we got to talk about. What do you think about people who fake their death on Facebook? For example, there was this lady, right? She put on Facebook saying, "Hey, my friend got into a head-on accident. She's in critical. They need if you want to find out who she is, you must have a certain password to call her at the hospital or get any information." And they were sticking a tube down her throat. So that tells me things were pretty, grave for her. All of a sudden, the next day, you see a message. The doctors have let her go home. And so it was one of those where I guess she used to be some kind of model or some kind of swimsuit model or whatever. And she was, I think, looking for pity because as soon as she started doing that, me and some other guys started jumping on her about it. And I go, this just doesn't add up. Yeah. So what do you guys think about people searching for pity? You think it's a lack of, I don't know.
It's attention whores.
Exactly.
Like if you need to do something stupid like that, you're just lonely and pitiful, and you need attention.
Yeah, well, you see that on Facebook in all different levels. That's extreme. But you see people, they'll just post, they'll just write depressed, and that's it. And they're waiting for people to ask. They're looking for that type of stuff. And I guess that's what Facebook is great for. I tend to look at Facebook as a sewer. And if you don't wear your boots, you're going to get messed up.
Yep.
That's how I look at Facebook.
We like looking for stuff to get messed up. So.
You go in without your boots. I understand that.
Because that gives us stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
All right. Stop trying to keep this conversation going, Lou. I'll go to bed.
I'm gonna be at work at 6 a.m. anyway.
Yeah. So we do
All
have
right,
to. We have to go, bitch.
Yeah. All right. This was a lot of fun, and
Thank
you guys
you.
are great.
Thank you very much for coming on and talking to us and giving your background and your knowledge and experience in the sciences. It was great. I mean, I really loved it because it really we learned some shit tonight.
I did,
and it clarified some things and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
You were awesome, Mitch. I don't care what Kenny says about you. You were awesome.
I'm used to that, so it's okay.
Yeah, see, bitch? Shut
I,
up.
I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll hear a little bit more from Nyack Paranormal pretty soon too, because we've been putting that on the back burner. So
Cool.
there's still stuff to talk about out there, even if it is a circus.
Good. So
Yeah,
we look
because
forward
we're
to...
going to be talking about Bigfoot next week.
Oh,
Cool.
again? Oh, yeah, we do.
Sorry.
We do have to talk about the weekend kill.
Oh
And
yeah,
tarp.
About that, I
Yeah,
need to do
we'll
that
talk
on-
about that next week.
Okay, sounds good. All right, good night, guys.
Good night,
Appreciate
Mitch.
it.
Good night, Mitch.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Hanging. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. You stay down. He was cool. I loved him.
I'm getting off too.
No, stop being a
That
bitch.
was good. All right, we'll take like 2 minutes and recap real quick, but that was great.
Yeah.
I love that. That was so much fun, and I was so interested in what he was saying, and I couldn't. Like every time he would talk, I was writing down notes, going,
That's what I was
I want
doing.
to ask about this. Ooh, I want to ask about this, and I couldn't because we just didn't have. We'd be here all freaking night, dude.
Yeah. And are we still recording or you stopped recording?
We're recording, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I kept trying to liven it up a little bit because I could tell sometimes he's like, let's talk about funny stuff. That's why I did all the other stuff.
Yeah, well, you can't help it.
Yeah.
You got like ADHD.
Yeah. But it was cool talking to him about Star Trek because you're useless when it comes to Star Trek.
Because you know what? I like the new ones. And I'm
Yeah.
not useless. I watched the original series.
You're useless.
Next Generation was my favorite. I watched Deep Space Nine. It was okay. What else? Voyager
There was
I didn't like at
Enterprise.
all.
No, I didn't care for that. I liked Enterprise when they were barely starting to break into space and all that.
Yeah,
I
was
enjoyed
okay.
it because they were giving you, before, because you're used to the what is it? When they beam them up and down here, they're still using the damn shuttle.
Right.
So, I think it was called Enterprise. I think that's what that one was called.
It
But
was,
I
yeah,
enjoyed
it was
that one.
Enterprise. Yeah.
I like that one.
But this was great. I mean, we talked about science. We talked about Star Trek. We talked about the history stuff, dude. Oh, we gotta go.
I know we do.
I want to go up there and see that, and that'd be great because it'll get us in, and we'll be able to tour the building.
How long a drive is that for you?
It's not that
Because you're gonna
bad
be driving.
because it's probably about, I would say, like an hour and a half.
Really? To Queens?
That's about it. Because we went up when I went up to see Bill Nye for that Star Talk thing. That was right in the Bronx, and that's right next to Queens. I just looked it up, and so yeah, it'd be about an hour and a half. So that's not bad at all.
We can bust a U-turn on the bridge like I did last time when I was in New York.
No.
I can't tell you how many laws I broke that weekend.
Yeah, I know. I know. And then you come back and hide out in my basement.
Well, since every time I go up there, I get in trouble with the law somehow.
Yeah.
The previous time was what? I did a U-turn. No, I made a left turn on that expressway. What is it, that 95 or whatever it is?
Yeah, that 95.
I don't know what is
Yeah,
it, the 95 or
95.
whatever? Yeah, and I made a left turn instead. I'm supposed to get off and do that horseshoe thing and then cross over. And instead I stopped in the middle because it was a break in traffic. I thought that was an intersection. And
I'm
little
from out
did
of
I know
town.
that I almost killed a state trooper because a truck almost slammed into him. And of course, when he walked up to me and he was all mad, "Do you know what you just did?" And I go, "No, I was going to McDonald's." And he's like, "You have no idea what you just did." And I go, "I made a left turn. The night was green. I made a left turn." And so, and he goes, are you serious? And I go, yeah. Now, mind you, this guy was super pissed off. And he goes, let me see your driver's license. So I gave it to him. He saw California. And he goes, I go, look, I'm from California. We see that it's a left turn. He goes, well, you didn't see the horseshoe? And I go, what the hell's a horseshoe? Aside from the ones that go on a horse. And I told him that. And he goes, I'll be right back. At this time, another 2 state troopers showed up. And all I remember was looking at my rearview mirror, and they were looking at me with that look, where they shake their heads and, can you believe this guy? And what? That kind of deal.
Yep.
And I guess he told, and so he goes back there, and he comes back, and he did me a favor, because he goes, you know what you did back there was, I think he said it was either a 4 or a 6-point violation. Right? I was like, oh, snap. And I go, really? He goes, but since you didn't know this, and I go, seriously, I didn't know. He goes, I'm going to make it a 1 point. So I really got off lucky on that one.
You did.
And so when we went to McDonald's, because this was Patty's fault, because she's the one who was like, I want to eat. And she wouldn't shut up for like the previous 2-3 miles. And I go, fine. She goes, I want to go to McDonald's. And there was McDonald's. So I blamed that ticket on her. So then when we went to New York the last visit, we went, also because that state trooper goes, you didn't see the sign. And I go, what sign? I didn't see any sign. You didn't see the sign that says no left turns. I go, no. Well, come to find out, when we went by there this time, we were looking for that fucking sign. All right? And where's that sign? It's on top of like what it seems like a 20-foot pole. And at the very top of it, an even smaller sign with even smaller letters says no left turn. Yeah, I'm looking at the goddamn moon for a fucking sign. Right? So I blame Patty for that, but I told her when we went to that McDonald's this last time, we used that horseshoe. So
all right,
we used the horseshoe, but I blame her for that.
All right, stop talking. I need to go to bed.
Okay, you go to bed.
Bitch.
Hey, that's a cool tattoo right there.
I know it is. It's my Star Wars tattoos.
That's awesome.
That's right.
When did you get them?
Oh, shit. Right before episode 1 came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How much they charge you?
I don't know. It was a while ago.
I've seen that one there. I've seen that one too.
You've seen all of these. I don't have any new ones. This is my newest one.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I'm
going to bed. You keep doing this. I just want to go to bed, and you just keep fucking talking.
That's a cool shirt.
Shut up. I'm hanging up on you.
Did I show you this?
Thanks to everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed our guest.
Hey, your nipples are punching through that shirt.
Our second guest. Which reminds me, we have to have Tracy back on so that you can ask her about tacos and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly, and archaeology and stuff like that.
She has a bunch of, she has like 2 ghost hunts coming up that she's hosting. She also, what'd she do? She went up to Sleepy Hollow in New York and went around the cemetery. I want to ask her about that, but I'll get her back on.
Yeah, we got to do that. So, Mitch Silverstein and his pet parrot.
Yes.
Are.
Awesome.
Unofficial sponsor number 1 and 2.
3, 4, and 5.
That's right. And then
we didn't do any.
The location he's working on, that's unofficial sponsor number 6 and 7. And Tracy, because she just showed up as unofficial sponsor number 8. Jason Gowan, because he made mention, number 9. Jason Corvus, because he made mention, number 10. That Bud football bottle that I showed for football, number 11. Star Trek, number 12.
The what does he call these?
The thingamajig.
Sure and steady dowsing rods.
For dowsing rods.
Yes. What's that?
So that's number 13. There 13? We go, 13.
Okay, wow. We got a lot of people that don't pay us to advertise them.
Oh, I'm working on this, trying to get a sponsor next week.
Really?
Yeah, but he probably won't agree to it, but you'll get a product in the mail within sometime at the end of next week. Maybe I can get it shipped even quicker, and it'll be cool. That's why we're talking Bigfoot.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, go to bed.
All right. I have to go to bed too. All right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Bigfoot next week.
Good. I will talk to you probably tomorrow because you'll probably call me. And you can tell me what's coming and we can talk about it and figure out what we're going to do.
I'm not going to tell you.
We had to plan.
No, not this one.
All right.
When you get it, we'll talk then.
Okay.
But I got, it's Bigfoot, it's rum. You're going to love it.
Okay.
But that's all I can tell you.
All right.
That's all I can tell you.
I'll wait. Don't say no more. Let me go on that note. Okay.
All
Good night,
right.
everybody.
Night, everybody. Thanks again, Mitch. You were awesome, dude. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we love you, Mitch.
All right.
All right, bitch. Talk to you
All right,
later.
Mitch. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.